How did I revise for A-level economics in order to get an A star at almost 100%? What sort of things should you be doing in your revision in order to get those very top marks? Economics is a very unique A-level in the sense that it's got a degree of essay writing and some sort of maths, all while being relatively conceptually difficult. But that is the reason that I loved it, and that is why I study economics at LSE now. Before you dive into revision and just content, realize that this A-level is not just about your knowledge. You seriously need to know how to answer their exam questions. All of the content, if you do not answer the exam questions in the right way and structure your answers, you're going to come out with like a D. Whereas if you don't know all the content but you know how to structure your answers, you can still get like a good grade. So firstly, knowing where your marks are coming from. Where are you getting your AO1, AO2, AO3, AO4, or as you may know them, knowledge, application, analysis, evaluation mark. How many are available for each question? What do they mean? How do you actually achieve these marks in the exam? I've got so many videos about this, so check the playlist if you want to see that. Okay, so you know where you're getting your marks from. Now what? You need to be doing practice exam questions when you've covered content. So it's not enough to just learn about what a monopoly is in the class. You need to go and try and apply that knowledge and answer an exam question on it. How does this normally come up? How could this come up in an exam question, an 8 marker and a 15 marker? Go and try some exam questions and give them to your teacher to mark. Exam practice is so critical in this A-level. And the life hack that I see nobody talk about is that you should be planning your answers closer to exam season. You shouldn't necessarily be writing out full 25 markers. It's going to take you ages. No, you need to read a question, read an extract, get some sort of context, be planning your answers out. Where are you getting that knowledge mark? Where are you getting the application mark? How are you hitting these marks? Just writing them out in an essay plan is so beneficial because it really allows you to highlight and pick out how you were achieving the marks in the exam. A-level economics, I yap on all the time about how important exam technique is, but it is true. But let's not forget that you need to know the content. This is a content-dense A-level. You need to know everything on that specification. Thing is, the beauty of economics is that things interlink. Parts of the specification link to other parts. If you thoroughly understand the economics behind it, you will understand how topics link together. You will see examiners will link these topics together in the exam. In terms of learning everything on the specification, you need to be utilizing revision strategies that will allow these things to get into your long-term memory. So what I found really helpful was using flashcards, virtual flashcards for key definitions. Okay, you know what profit is. Just naturally know what that is because it's common sense. But what is a definition they need in the exam? Use a flashcard for it. Same for every topic. Additionally, you can use flashcards for key diagrams. So you could have on one side, oligopoly diagram. How do you draw it? And you try and remember, is it a kink-demand curve? And you have the diagram on the other side. Using flashcards for little facts, little things that you will get your knowledge marks from, or even diagrams, which is your application marks. And like I said, you need to be incorporating revision strategies to help things get into your long-term memory. I found blurting was the most effective revision strategy for me for A-level economics. Getting a topic, but making it relatively niche. So not just saying, I'm going to blur all of market structures on this massive sheet. That's going to take hours. Making it more specific. So saying, okay, I'm going to blurt about monopoly. This might take 20-25 minutes, and then I spend 5 minutes going over it and correcting anything I got wrong or anything that I missed out. This is so effective because it allows you to revise and actively recall information from your brain, which is so critical when you're revising, to get things into your long-term memory, to identify gaps in your knowledge, to actually think about it. When you're blurting, you're essentially making yourself a revision resource that you can come back to and be like, oh, I forgot what the profit maximization point was last time. Using any strategy that incorporates active recall is so important. This is where people go wrong. They're like, oh, how do I remember all of the diagrams? It's not just about remembering the diagrams. It's about being able to apply the diagrams and understand how these diagrams link to other areas of the specification. Because that is what scares most people when they look at an A-level economics diagram. They're like, oh my God, what is this? I'm so scared. Not that hard. If you understand the economics behind it, it makes complete and utter sense. By far the most important tip, you just need to understand what's going on as it is happening. Year 12, if you don't understand what is happening now, don't let things build up. I would say this advice is for literally any A-level, but it's so important in economics because you build a foundation of knowledge which you continuously build upon and upon. Just think about it. When you start year 12, you do the supply and demand diagram. If you don't know how that works, you are not going to be able to do price elasticity or externalities, even just things that you do even in your first term, let alone when you're going off to do the kink-demand curve, essentially, in my opinion, the hardest diagram in A-level economics. You need to understand things as you go along. If you like this video, then comment what kind of video you want to see next and follow for more A-level economics tips.